It's Nazia Begum here, your physics lecturer, welcoming you all in today's lecture. So, in previous video, we have discussed that how classical wave theory failed in explaining the photoelectric effect and how with the help of Einstein's quantum theory, which was based on Planck's quantum theory, we were succeeded to explain the whole photoelectric effect and various phenomena related to that. Okay, now today the topic we are going to discuss is determination of Planck's constant and work function. So what is work function? The work function is that amount of energy, okay, which is required for an electron to just come out from the metal surface. So this energy, okay, work function, uh, we have represented by W naught, which was equals to h nu naught, where nu naught is the threshold frequency of the material. So h nu naught is the work function, and in that this h is the Planck's constant. Okay, so now we will determine that. So according to Einstein's photoelectron equation, the maximum kinetic energy of a photoelectron is given by K max equals to h nu minus W naught. How this equation came, that we have also discussed in previous lecture. If V naught is the stopping potential, then K max equals to EV naught. Okay, so when we put that value of K max, we got EV naught equals to h nu minus W naught, or V naught equals to h upon E nu minus W naught upon E. Okay, give this equation as equation number 1. About stopping potential, about this equation, okay, we have already discussed in previous lectures. So those who are watching today's video, please go and watch the previous one, then only you are going to understand whatever things I am going to explain next. Okay, so now we compare this equation with the straight line equation y equals to mx plus c. By comparing, we come to know that the slope of the graph, okay, which is y equals to mx plus c in that equation, m represents the slope of the graph. Okay, if we compare this with equation 1, so here we find m equals to h upon e. Okay, in place of y we have v naught, in place of c we have minus omega naught e. Okay, then here two things are in what we say in multiplication. So here we have two things in multiplication. So this is nu is equals to x, and m, which is the slope. Okay, m here is equals to h upon e. So h upon e is showing the slope. Okay, now when we draw the graph, we draw the graph between v and y and x axis. So that means here the graph is between the potential and frequency. Okay, so here you can see there is one graph. Okay, in x axis we have frequency, in y axis we have potential. So when we draw graph between them, we are having a straight line with slope. Okay, and that slope is equals to h upon e. When we move the slope, when we extrapolate the slope in the backward direction in the minus x minus y axis, so the slope is coming here at one point, which is given by minus omega naught e. Okay, which is represented by c in this equation. Okay, and when we compare c, so we have minus omega naught upon e, not the plus one. Okay, here you can see the difference of sign. Here plus c is there, and here minus omega naught e is there. That means c is equals to minus omega naught e. That's why the value of omega naught upon e is in negative side of this graph. Okay, so this is the graph we get from this equation. And to determine the slope, We take 2 points A and B on the straight line graph. Okay, then we know that slope equals to tan theta. This thing we have already discussed when we were discussing the graph between time and distance and time and velocity, that whenever there is slope, so that slope is represented by tan theta only. Okay, so by that uh, we have used here also m equals to tan theta equals to AC upon BC. By putting the value, we have h upon E, or we have h equals to E into AC upon BC. Okay, that means h equals to E into slope of V naught V, that is potential frequency graph. Thus the Planck's constants h can be determined by this equation. Moreover, the intercept on vertical axis, okay, the C is showing the intercept in vertical axis, which is equals to minus omega naught E. So here omega naught equals to E into magnitude of the intercept on vertical axis. So here from that slope and graph method, we have derived the value of h as well as of work function. So Planck's constant and work function both have been determined. In this way, the work function omega naught can be determined. So by measuring the slope of potential frequency graph for sodium and using the known value of electron, R. A. Millikan precisely determined the values of h and omega naught for sodium. These values agreed well with the values known from other experiments. So here Millikan has uh, tried to find out the value of h and omega naught by this method of graph and slope. Okay, and other scientists have also attempted to find out the value of h and omega naught for some other methods, and that method's values and this method's value, they both match. So this led to the acceptance of Einstein's particle or photon picture of electromagnetic radiation. Okay, R. A. Millikan was awarded the Nobel Prize in 1923 for his work on the determination of E and photoelectric effect. Now let's move to the application of photoelectric effect. See, in science, we don't only want to understand that what is the reason behind a particular phenomena or a particular behavior of something, but we also try to apply that behavior or that phenomena in some useful things. Okay, so this phenomena of photoelectric effect is also applicable in so many ways. So one application of that we are discussing here is photocell. So as the name only suggests, photocell means it is one cell which works on photons. Okay, a photocell or a photoelectric cell is an arrangement which converts light energy into electrical energy. Okay, it works on the principle of photoelectric emission. It measures the intensity of light by measuring the photoelectric current when light is incident on a photosensitive surface. Sometimes it is called an electric eye. That photoelectric surface is called electric eye. So photocells are of three types. First is photoemissive cell. It makes use of photoemission from a photosensitive cathode. The electrons emitted are attracted by an anode. Second type is photoconductive cell. It makes use of the fact that electrical conductivity of a photosensitive semiconductor increases when exposed to light due to excitation of additional free charge carriers by the incident photons. Then third is photovoltaic cell. About this second type na, what is semiconductor, how the uh, conductivity increases by light, all these things we are going to discuss in chapter 14. Then you will understand it in more clear manner. Third is photovoltaic cell. It makes use of the fact that an EMF is produced between two layers of different materials as a result of irradiation. This cell supplies a current without using an external battery and is used in exposure meters of good cameras and in solar batteries. Okay, now here we will describe the most commonly used photocell, which is the photoemissive cell. So as the name only suggests, here we are using the word emissive, that means here the electron is being emitted. So it works on the principle of photoelectric emission. So you can see its construction here, okay, in this diagram. So here this outer line you can see, this is one evacuated glass tube. Evacuated means inside this glass tube nothing is there, that means the vacuum is created. Then we are having one cathode, which is the photosensitive material connected to the negative terminal of the high tension battery. Okay, and we are having one anode, which is connected to the positive terminal of that high tension battery. So cathode is at negative terminal, anode is at positive terminal. Okay, now when the incident light fall on the photosensitive material connected to the negative terminal of the battery, so because of the effect of that photons, the electron comes out from the cathode, and because anode is at positive terminal and whatever electrons are coming out from cathode, they are having negative charge, so that electrons get attracted to the positive terminal and they start moving towards the anode. Okay, so this is the construction and working of this photocell. Okay, so here you can see a working diagram is given there. Okay, and I have also told you that how it works. When the light of suitable frequency falls on the cathode, that is photosensitive surface, the electron comes out and they get attracted towards the anode. Okay, now application of photocells. So first application is in cinematography. So you might have knowing about that negatives which were used in the cameras in older times. Nowadays digital cameras are there, but that old cameras in which we are using reels, in that reels for cinematography we are using that photoelectric effect only. Okay, and whatever audio signals are there in any video, whatever audio signals are there, they are actually the electrical waves. Okay, so here we can read it. Photocells are used for the reproduction of sound. Audio signals are converted into electrical waves, which are then converted into light waves. The light signals are photographed on the film along with the action picture. With the reverse process, we get the picture and synchronized sound in the movie theater. So basically, if we talk in simple language, so whatever video we are having, whatever video we record by the camera, with that video, in terms of light, we connect sound to the actions going on in that video. Okay, and when that video is played, so in reverse manner, that means we have converted sound into light, so in reverse manner that light is converted into sound and we can hear what is being played with the video. Okay, we can get the audio as well. In counting devices, a photocell is connected to a counter. When a person interrupts the invisible ultraviolet light falling on the photocell, the photoelectric current stops and the counter advances by one digit. So let me simply tell you what happens here. So suppose there is one door or something where the counting is going on. So at one side of the door we are having the photocell. At the other side of the door we are having a source of light from which the invisible ultraviolet light is falling on the photocell. Okay, so when the ultraviolet light is falling on the photocell is detecting that. As any person is trying to go inside from the door, okay, cross the door, so that person interrupts this ultraviolet rays. Okay, and when the ultraviolet rays got interrupted, they don't fall on the photocell. Is it clear? So that time when the photocell is not detecting any light, so that time its count increases by 1. Okay, if suppose it was initially having 0 count, so it becomes 1. If it was having suppose a count of 22, so when any person enters, again the light will get disturbed and the photocell will not get any light, so it will increase its count by 1 and now the count will become 23. So like that it works in counting devices. In burglar alarm also, see, when a person approaching a doorway interrupts a beam of invisible ultraviolet light falling on a photocell, the sudden change in photoelectric current starts a motor which opens the door or rings an alarm. So whatever thing I have told you about the counting devices, the same thing is there for alarm as well. Okay, so whatever doors and whatever windows are there in any home from where any thief can enter the house, there at one side we are having the photocell, at the other side we are having a source of light. Okay, from that source of light continuously the light is falling on the photocell and photocell is getting some current, detecting some current. But when any thief or any burglar tries to enter the home, they interrupt the path of light, and that's why the photocell cannot sense the light, and that's why it will ring the alarm. Okay, so this is how the burglar alarms work. In fire alarm also same thing is there. In fire alarm, a number of photocells are installed at suitable places in building. Okay, and when the fire break out, the light radiations fall on the photocell. Photoelectric current start flowing through the circuit containing an electric bell or siren which starts operating as a warning signal. Then in photographic cameras and so many other uses are written here in automatic control of street light system. So this sixth point now, that automatic control of street light system 1 is very important and useful application of photocell. So here what happened, because of this photocell we can save so much energy. So initially what happened, we need one person to switch on and off all the street lights. Okay, at evening time they are going and switching on the lights, in morning they are going and switching off the lights, and if the person is not doing so, the light is on for the whole day also, or sometime the light is not on in the night also. So both the situations are dangerous. Okay, if the lights are on in daytime, there is wastage of energy. If the lights are off in night time because of careless of any person or because of any circumstances, okay, if the lights are not uh, on at night, so that also cause so many accidents and harmful effects. So this thing, this use of photocell in automatic control of street light system is very important, as in all the street lights, okay, one photocell is there. When that photocell uh, feels or sense the light, it simply switch off all these street lights. Okay, automatically. Photocells inserted in the street light electric circuit automatically switch on and switch off the street light system at dusk and dawn. So when the light comes to them, they sense the light, they switch off the street lights. And when the photocells are not getting light, if suppose dusky weather is there or at night time when light is not coming to the photocell, so they sense that light is not coming and they switch on the street light. So like that automatic system of switching on and off is there, and which saves energy also and stops accidents. Then some other uses are also there, so that uses you please pause the video and read. Okay, so here are those. Then more points are there. You can pause the video and read them. So this is it for today's lecture. Tomorrow we will study about the dual nature of radiation. Okay, this topic we will discuss tomorrow. For today we are over. So see you in next lecture. Till then, goodbye. Take care. Do some productive work, and the most important thing, be healthy, be safe.